Good afternoon. This is a hearing of the Chatham Conservation Commission being held on October 2nd, 2024, in accordance with the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act and the Town of Chatham Wetlands Protection Bylaw and Regulations. My name is Karen Latin and I serve as the chair. Today's hearing is being broadcast live on Xfinity 1072 and is being recorded for the on-demand archives available on the town's website. It is being conducted in person, by phone, and by video conference. The agenda, instructions on how to attend, and copies of documents for review are posted on the town's website. To all participants, no, we're not. Whether attending by phone or online, please remain muted unless you have been recognized by the chair. When recognized, please identify yourself for the record. If you're attending by phone, you can mute and unmute by using *6. If you're online and you are not a commissioner, please keep your camera turned off unless you've been recognized. Indicate that you wish to speak by using the raise hand feature. So that we have a record of a quorum, I will now ask each commissioner to indicate their presence. Vice Chair Elise Gordon.
Present.
Janet Williams.
Present.
Cheryl Meservey.
Present.
Eric Hilbert.
Present.
Paul Johnson.
Present.
Bob Del Vecchio.
Present.
And I'm here. We have established that we have a full group and a quorum. Before we begin the agenda, are there any announcements about any requests for continuances or withdrawals? Catherine?
Yes, the following applicant has requested the continuation. Fuel change request at 227 Vineyard Avenue. The applicant has requested a continuance to November 13th, 2024.
Great, thank you. At this point, Catherine Ricks, our Chatham's Assistant Conservation Agent, will now lead us through the agenda. Okay, Catherine.
Okay. Starting with the request for order of conditions at 177 Countryside Drive, map 61, parcel N14 for Robert P. and Natalie Coleman Fuller, DEP SE number 10-3694, construction of additions, renovations, farmer's porch, and second-story expansion to a single-family dwelling. Work will occur within the 100-foot of a coastal bank on Monomoy River, within the riverfront, and within the Pleasant Bay ACEC. The applicant has requested to withdraw the application without prejudice.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Elise.
I move that we approve the withdrawal of the application for 177 Countryside Drive without prejudice.
Second.
Cheryl.
Aye.
Paul.
Aye.
Janet.
Aye.
Elise.
Aye.
Eric.
Aye.
Bob.
Aye.
And I say aye. Okay, Catherine, the next.
Okay, request for an extension at 14 Periwinkle, map 4C, parcel L7 for Alan Hankowski, DEP SE number 10-3344. Proposed vinyl sheeting to enhance existing gabions. Extension is requested to complete the handrails, 5/4 decking, fill railroad tie stairs with 3/4 inch stone and loam, and reseed around the stairs. This is the second extension request. It expires 10/17/2024.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Hankowitz, I see you're on. Do you have anything you want to say?
No, I thought
Okay.
the letter was explanatory.
Yes.
And so I
So-
was told you had questions.
No, I now understand that the reason for the second extension is because a tree fell on your truck and you're using the truck to do the work, and so you need the truck to be fixed. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry
Yeah,
that
we
all
have a-
happened, and I'm sorry we didn't vote on it last week. I was told you'd be attending and then didn't have all the details, so I didn't realize what was going on. So I think we're ready for a motion.
I move that we approve the second extension request for 14 Periwinkle Lane to October 17th, 2025.
Second.
Cheryl?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
Janet?
Aye.
Elise?
Aye.
Eric?
Aye.
Paul? Bob?
Aye.
And I say aye. Not used to so many people. Okay, so you're all set. You've gotten your extension, so thank you very much. Okay,
Thank you.
Catherine, we can go to the next.
Okay. request for an extension at 275 Champlain Road, map 12A, parcel 2, for Burton B. Stenair, DEP SE number 10-3512, deck relocation and invasive species management, expires 1/14/2025. The extension is requested to ensure plantings have sufficient time to establish prior to closing the order of conditions.
Okay, thank you. Do we have anybody here for this? I didn't think we probably would. Does anybody have any comments or questions about this one? It's the one where they're putting the deck and then doing plantings, and that was it. It's in the middle of woods, to put it mildly. So I guess, you know, we, yes. So, and I'm not seeing any hands up. So I guess we can entertain a motion.
I move that we approve the extension for 275 Champlain Road to January 14th, 2026.
Second.
Okay, Cheryl?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
Janet? Aye. Elise?
Aye.
Eric?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
And I say aye. So that one's passed as well. Okay, Catherine, next.
Okay, moving on to field change request at 227 Vineyard Avenue, map 11C, parcel D131, for Ann Azenaro, DEP SE number 10-3471, garage addition and invasive species control. This after-the-fact field change is for an extension to an existing low-native New England fieldstone wall for stabilization of the garage foundation and to protect from erosion caused by wind, extreme high tides, and stormwater runoff. The applicant has requested a continuance to November 13th, 2024.
Okay, can we have a motion, please?
I move that we approve the request for continuance for 227 Vineyard Avenue to November 13th, 2024.
Second.
Cheryl?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
Janet? Aye. Elise?
Aye.
Eric?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
And I say aye. Okay. Catherine, the next.
Okay, we have a notice of intent at parcel H13 Captain Knowles Way, map 11C, parcel H13 for Minglewood Homes Incorporated, DEP SE number 10-3698, construction of a dwelling within the riverfront area and the buffer zone to a coastal bank, and construction of a swimming pool within the buffer zone to a coastal bank.
How are you?
Good afternoon, David Clark, Clark Engineering on behalf of Minglewood. Tim Smith of Minglewood is in the audience. I believe Jen, yep, it is Jen from Crawford. So we've made some changes after our first meeting. You requested that we reduce the coverage within the outer order. You felt it was too close to the 35%, so the pool has been shrunk up, and as well as the patio. We eliminated one extra parking space in the driveway. And some of the hardscape has been changed. If you look to the west of the pool, we had extending those retaining walls all the way to the property line. And we switched that to a post and rail fence, so that really the only disturbance in that area will be Jen is here to talk about the trees and.
Go ahead, and then we'll do all questions, because they might.
The last hearing, a table that had all the information in terms of as simple as possible, and just created a symbol that had a number in it that then correlated with the tree removal table, as well as your regulations for that Dave already threw. The other thing that you had asked us about was go through and we kind of extrapolated the buffer zones based on what was already in the file. And so according to that, within your jurisdiction with that outer riverfront area, I only provided details for you in terms of what is in the, we can do that. But those are the changes that we made, and the resubmission that we put in.
Okay, thank you. I think I'm going to let others go first. Anybody have any comments, questions? Janet? Mm-hmm. Aha.
Hello, yes, my name is Ian Warner. I'm with Acer Landscape Design.
Yes, the landscape architect is not me.
Right, yep, you were clear about that last time.
You are correct, Jen. Go ahead,
I'm quiet, it's not me.
go ahead.
Okay, so we had been asking about if you could walk us through the,
Pool is really serves a couple purposes. And on the other side, it consistently all along the back from probably about elevation 29, increase in height along the back. It makes solving that grade issue along the house to get positive drainage away from the house easier for us to have the wall.
Well, but I would think the retaining wall's sort of holding, keeping, if you didn't have the retaining wall there, it would just flow down, and you have a retaining wall, so that's stopping it from going straight down, and it would go, you're needing it to go beyond the house. And maybe I'm wrong. But I'm just looking at plans, so, it's a little harder to visualize. But part of the reason I'm asking this is there are a few trees being taken out on that end that I think could be saved if this retaining wall weren't being put in. It seems that at least one of them is because right on where you want to put the retaining wall.
Well, and we might be able to, even if we were able to shorten it a little bit and bring it, only half of that volume of house, that seems like it would pull away from that tree enough too to be able to save it, correct?
Well, the X is right on top of the wall, so I can't speak accurately. Maybe it can still be saved. I'm bothered by a retaining wall that's retaining, I assume, lawn. And where you could pull it in and just have whatever's coming off of the house there. It's just a thought, and I'd love for it to be considered.
Okay.
Through the chair, there also looks like there is some sort of utilities or structure under there. I don't know if it's dry well or what on that corner, but we'll have to take a look at that as well, because if there is any trenching that needs to go through there, the wall won't make a difference in terms of tree preservation, but I'm sure that's something that that Dave can take a look at.
Okay, yeah, I do see that there's something, and I have to find the site plan to be able to know what it is. I don't really know.
Yeah, that's one of,
So-
I can move that further away.
pool equipment.
Yeah, well, maybe that could be moved. I don't know.
And there's a little box, I don't know what that box is.
Yeah, that's the part I'm trying to find. So anyway, I think that's as far as my concerns about the retaining wall. I don't know if anybody else has opinions on that before Janet goes on to whatever else.
I agree with your points, Karen. I think that the point on the drainage with a wall blocking it, since it's a slope to begin with, you could potentially create a pool there instead of a pool of water, not a swimming pool, a pool of water there in heavy rains. So I would agree with shortening that wall.
Okay.
I just have a quick question. I guess I'm just having a hard time picturing what's happening at that corner. So you have the proposed patio that comes to the corner, and then is that just going to be dirt that you're filling in behind the wall, this retaining wall, to make it up to a certain grade, and then?
Yes, because the patio will be up at around 29
Okay.
to 30, and the existing grade at the end of the patio is 28.
Okay,
So the idea was to put the wall in and fill to the other building.
to level it out to the other part.
That's what's being
Okay.
proposed, and that's what
I just was having a hard time picturing it for some reason. Okay, thank you very much.
Dave, would it be flat to the wall or sloped to the, you're gonna fill it to make it flat to the wall or sloped?
The proposal was to have it flat to the wall.
Flat to the wall.
But, yes.
Okay.
Anybody else?
Yeah, the only thing I say is, as far as that oak tree goes, you know, you might be coming, the applicant might be coming down the road shortly to remove that tree because it's so close to the patio in the house. What
On number 4?
Which number?
The one that's like on top of the retaining wall?
Yeah.
Okay, that's
You know.
number 4.
so, you know,
I think number 4 would go anyways due
Yeah.
to the excavation for the
You're right,
foundation.
yeah.
But I think we're talking about 5 and 6 at this point. Can we save those?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
right, so what is the percentage you're at now? You were at 34
30.
something?
33.9.
So now you're down to 33 the way this plan is?
33.9.
Yeah. Thanks.
Bob, do you have anything with the retaining wall?
No, but I have a question on the lawns.
Yep.
I have a question on the lawns, the lawn areas. What's that gonna be, what's that gonna consist of?
The lawn area would be, probably a, seed mix of, Black Beauty type lawn.
Non-irrigated permanently, correct?
We
Non-irrigated.
expect, that it would not be irrigated because I think that's in your
Right.
performance standards.
Yeah.
so.
It is.
And I think that's all I had on the landscaping itself around the building. I had a few questions for Jen. Jen, we mentioned, I mentioned having a post and rail fence along the mitigation area to the south, right on the edge of the driveway.
Yes, so, so we added the, actually, I believe that Tim added the post and rail fence along the edge of the driveway. That area behind it would be naturalized, but you're correct, the mitigation area, the formal mitigation area, so to speak, on the plan, is even further towards the wetland, I guess.
Yeah, I see that, yeah. Yeah, so that
so I
will
guess
have a
the
fence
question
around
is-
it?
If you want a double fence, it could. Otherwise, the one that would run along the driveway as shown on the plan, would be, in theory, kind of protecting even more than just the mitigation area. So, I think that is, Tim might want to weigh in on that, but that would be something that I think, you guys should weigh in on as well.
Yeah, so the fence would be bordering the mitigation area, but we talked about having edging along the meadow areas, correct?
Yes, we did. And I'm fine with that from, the mitigation area and restoration standpoint. And Tim, if that makes sense to you, we can note that more clearly on our plan.
There's the fence. And then,
How you doing? This is Tim Smith of Inglewood Homes. So Bob, I put that fence in next to the driveway. I thought that's where you wanted it, but we can actually, if we want to move that fence down more into where the mitigation is determined, we can definitely do that.
And just, yeah, sure. And then, the outline of the driveway will protect the meadow, I think. But where the other meadow areas are to the northwest, there's a meadow area. And some other areas along the top of the mitigation area. Any areas
Right.
that are against the lawn, I would say would need some edging,
Okay.
steel edging.
Okay, sure, we can do that. That'll keep the lawn from traveling into that area.
Yeah,
Okay, no problem.
We can note that on our plan as well and make sure that that's clear, that single rail, split rail will be moved to the edge of the mitigation area and that the meadow and lawn interfaces, so to speak, have a steel edge.
okay, terrific.
Can I, go ahead, Bob.
Go ahead, Tim.
Well, I was just gonna, Karen, can I, Bob, you finish up what you're doing and then I'll ask you.
And the other thing I had for Jen, yeah, so you're gonna have to rework that circle then, because it's in the riverfront area, correct?
Yes, you are correct. I missed that on my review of our resubmission. That's my fault. I apologize. We will get you the full information on the entire circle.
Yeah, we walked that yesterday. There are a couple of Scotch pines in there. They're not native, but there are a couple of trees in there. And then there are a couple of cedars. So, yeah, go
Yeah,
ahead.
as long as they're far enough into the center of the circle so that we can still, that there's maneuverability and clearance for emergency vehicles and everything else around the outside, they can, we'll leave them and then revegetate with other natives around them. So it'll just be dependent on their location, but I think we actually might have that information. I'll regroup with Dylan after today, and we'll get you more on that, more specifics.
Yeah, the Scotch pines are actually close to the edge of the circle, so they may have to go anyway.
Yeah.
But there are some cedars in there that could be saved, I think, a couple.
Okay, we'll take a closer look and I'll get you more details on that.
Okay, thank you. I think
Yep.
That's all I had for now, thank you.
I had a quick question on the planting list. Do you have any room for, what is that butterfly weed called?
Butterfly weed?
Huh? Do you have any room for that? Go ahead, say it. What were you gonna say? What's it?
Yeah, we,
It's that
it's
butterfly
a
bush?
great
No, not the bush. Do you
Okay.
have any, huh?
butterfly weed.
Milkweed.
Yeah,
Milkweed.
it's
Milkweed. Do you
yeah,
have?
tuberosa.
Yeah, can you figure out an area for that? It's nice. For a
Sure.
milkweed, little
It-
milkweed area?
Yeah, it does great, and it's
Might
one of
even
the
work in the
key,
center.
Yeah, it's one of the key pollinator species for the monarch butterfly. And we actually, even if we put them in as plugs, for instance, I put some in my front yard at my house in June, I think, of this year, just little tiny restoration plugs, and they had caterpillars on them in August. So it's amazing how quickly they actually do
Great.
attract the species that they're there for. So yeah, we may even be able to seed it with the meadow areas.
Oh, that'd be awesome. Thanks.
Sure.
Jan, did you have more?
Yep.
I thought I'd let you finish.
Yeah, no, I just wanted David to if you could clarify for us where the shrinkage, the decrease in coverage happened. I've got here, so in the 50 to 100, looks like in the pool and patio, did that come in a little bit, 60?
That, it did. I think one of the concerns with the commission was the wall being so close to the no disturb zone line, that one corner, so it
So
got
it's pulled
shrunk.
back.
It got pulled back. And then, over on the driveway, the commission thought that there was much more driveway than was needed, so we removed one of the parking spaces, so that's 9 by
Okay.
18, that shrunk up.
Okay, got that. Okay. Just wanted to understand where it was all coming from, because I was trying to, oh, never mind. So, Jen, thank you for the tree removal plan, and thank you for numbering them. It makes discussing them a lot easier. So, just to clarify, at the last hearing, you confirmed for us that with the exception of one black cherry, every tree within the limit of work is coming out. Is that right?
That, I believe that is correct due to every reason as stated on there. The limit of work has been held pretty tight to the limits of the grading. And typically, wherever there's grading, trees are just not able to survive, especially not if they're being, if more than a third of their root system is being impacted on the outer edges of the drip zone, or if they're being filled. So that is correct.
So it's just hard for me to accept that. I mean, I usually am on board for trees removal within the footprint of the structure or the patio or within the driveway, but the majority of the trees that are coming out, and I'm just going to point out, my quick thank you for the size, just on my list of trees that I was concerned about are the 10-inch cedar, a 10-inch black oak, two 11.5-inch, these are all DBH, two 12.5-inch oaks, a 13-inch oak, and two 16-inch oaks. These are really large, mature, native oak trees that appear to be coming out because it's being regraded, and not because they're in, like I'm looking at tree number 33, 31, 32, 34, 39 is a 16.5-inch black oak.
22.
So help me understand, is this more grading than normally happens, that so many trees have to come out to do the grading work?
That's more of a question for the civil engineer and the.
I'm looking at them.
Yeah, I'm sorry,
I
I can't
wouldn't
see you looking at them.
Yeah,
I wouldn't say this is more grading than typically occurs on construction on a vacant lot.
maybe it's just more large, mature trees are coming out to enable the grading is what's
Because it's a
causing it.
vacant lot, yeah, there's a lot of large trees. You mentioned number 33, that's right on the edge of the driveway. We have almost 6 feet of fill right there. So there's no avoiding taking that one out. Number 39, that's down right at the edge of the filling. We
Yeah,
could
that's
probably tighten up the grading there and keep that one.
It also may be feasible in some cases where we can utilize like a short retaining wall for like a tree well, but tree wells are really not effective unless they're really able to get out closer to the drift line. You know, a tree well a few feet away from the trunk of a tree really doesn't do it any good. So that's something to consider as well, that, you know, even though sometimes we can do that, it really needs to be able to protect a large area of the root system.
A tree well is an excavation, isn't it, around the base of the trunk? Or
No,
it's all retaining.
not necessarily.
or retaining above, elevated above
Right,
ground?
so
Some-
if it's at its current height of elevation at the root flare, then you
Right.
can build something at that same height that goes up
Right.
further away that would retain things in the back.
we have seen many examples of trees that have been preserved on sites that are being developed. Now, not as many as this, and to the point that you're all making, because this is an undeveloped lot, so it has a lot more large trees. But some of these are pretty significant trees, and I'm wondering whether something can be done to protect them. Especially those large, mature black oaks. Well, I happen to think that number 40, that cedar, is an exceptionally beautiful tree.
Yeah, can I just add, yeah,
Yeah, I know, you can't do anything, it's in the
the
drawing.
tree wells work pretty good if it's not too deep. You know, but it just fascinates me, you know, I see these lots and the Conservation Foundation could have bought it, town could have bought it. Here we are, so, you know, it's bought, sold, needs a house on it, you know. We try to save what we can, but I think on the edges where the grade changes hardly anything, I mean, you could use tree wells, as long as the roots aren't buried too deep from the tree wells, in my opinion. Thanks.
We could look at the tree wells when we get in there and see what we can save. I have no problem trying to save a few of those trees by any means, you know, I understand what you're talking about. If we can do a couple of wells, great, we've got some, you know, I agree with those cedars at driveway, but I can't put that driveway anywhere else.
Right.
And those are the two that I would love to save. Those two they're beautiful, so, but I can't do anything with the driveway, that's the only way to get in, so, but, you know, if we can well a couple of these, we will, over off to this, I think it's the south side, you know, of the property, we've got the driveway, we shrank the driveway up, there's a couple, it's too bad that when we shrank the driveway up, I was over there this morning, the two that we were able to save are dead, dead
I know.
trees, so we didn't really save
Well,
much, so.
I
but-
think we were asking you to shrink the driveway because of the size,
We did.
not, I mean, saving trees is also a wonderful thing,
Yeah,
but
right, but we
that
did,
was not what precipitated
Okay.
our asking
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
So it is unfortunate that those are
I know,
dead
those
and
two
not.
trees are dead. So, but when we get into the 3 or 4, the numbers, 22, we know, but like number 29, could 29 be well, sure, 31, 32? We could look into those and try to save
34.
those for sure,
I think, and I don't want to speak for everybody, but, and people can say if they disagree, I think anywhere where you can determine you can save the tree will help.
Well, yes, absolutely.
So 5, 6, 8, 9, there are so many. Maybe even one, since it's a split rail fence, maybe one can be saved. I don't know about 21.
Oh, one is listed as coming out because it's within the path.
Yeah.
So I want to ask about that. Is this path, is that, there's an easement that runs along the side, along this property for another adjacent property. Is that what this path is, or is it, what is this path?
Path is, we are,
Access to the water.
access to the water.
For this lot? for
Yes.
this
This lot,
particular
yeah,
lot?
Yeah.
Yep.
But that tree's been there, I guess, because nobody's been there for
Right.
some time, because the tree's
long.
been there for some
Yeah.
time. Can't the path go around the tree?
But,
Can you
yeah.
change
We can-
the
we can move the
openings?
gate. We can move the gate over.
Yeah,
The
I
walk-
mean,
I
I
have no
think
problem doing
pretty
that.
easy.
if
we
you can be a bit creative wherever possible and move things, if it saves a tree. I mean, I'm not a tree hugger, but I do want to keep as much as we can. It's a shame to see a lot
Right.
just flush cut, absolutely everything removed, and then you start over.
The tree's right there, so.
It also will save the number of trees that you have to put in
I know.
to
Trust me,
mitigate.
I know. I know that.
So there's a win-win on
Right.
this. You won't have
Yeah.
to put in as many because you're saving more.
But we can definitely move that
Yeah.
gate over to, try to
Okay.
look at number 1 there. Is that number 1?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And here again, as we get into this, we're gonna come in and clear where we can to get the project going, the driveway in, the thing. We'll leave some of the outskirt trees that are slated to be taken, and if we can save them, we will.
okay. But if we could have,
Yeah.
unfortunately, if we could have something, we're gonna need something that says they're
Yep.
going or they're staying.
We're gonna try, we'll move the,
Another thought is we can have a second work limit. So we can establish an inner work limit that what's absolutely required to get the house under the way, the driveway, the septic, and the pool, and not take out the trees that are in the grading area. And then that will save,
I think, I'd rather mark trees that are gonna stay, and then I know, then they can come in and do what they have to do.
Okay.
All right. Karen, can I just go back to that retaining wall that we were talking about where those other trees are?
Sure.
I don't have any problem turning that into the building right at that corner and having a set of stairs coming down. If we, and I don't know if that's an issue. I don't think it's gonna be an issue.
That'd be
So that's
nice.
gonna, that'll leave us some of that'll leave those trees over there that we don't have to
Yeah,
mess
4,
with.
5, and 6
Yep,
would
and I can
be
move that
saved.
well, that drainage, over. I can put that somewhere else.
Even better.
yeah.
Seven's gonna have to go,
anything-
but,
I think what we kind of want is for you to look at this as what can be saved
yep,
and adjust the plan to save as much as possible.
Mm-hmm.
I think,
we're maybe
would
gonna be
help.
able to save 5 or 6 trees, but 5 or 6 trees is 5 or 6 trees, right?
That's 10 less you have to plant.
Good.
up to 10 maybe.
Up to
But, yeah, so I think we'll, I think we understand what you're talking about.
Thank you. Jan, anything else?
Well, I was gonna move from here to the mitigation plan, but I wanna make sure everybody's asked about the trees removal.
I just had a quick question. So when it comes down to identifying the trees that have to be saved, would you put like an orange plastic construction fence around these?
Yeah, we'll do that during construction, for sure.
Okay,
Yep, to protect them. We're gonna do that, we're saving the black cherry out front, so we'll secure those from construction vehicles.
good enough, thank you.
Yep.
Okay. Go ahead.
Okay. So I wanted to move from there because, as Karen noted, the fewer trees coming out, the fewer trees going in. And I wanted to ask Jen, because we didn't really talk about this much at the last hearing, but I went back to the site and had a look at the, let's see if this works, I can get it up. Yeah, here it is. At the mitigation area. Now, we don't have a land management plan, so there's nothing in the record other than what you said at the last hearing about the current condition of the mitigation area. But I took this picture standing right, you can see from the stake there at the beginning of the driveway, looking southwest over the mitigation area. It is incredibly densely vegetated. Now, I know you said that there's a fair amount or a lot of shrub honeysuckle and border privet in there. Can you estimate for us, even though I know it's hard because it's almost impossible to get in there, what the percentage of invasive is in there?
I would say it's a solid 80%. It may be a little bit more intact once we get further in there, but like you said, it's extremely dense and hard to get in. And from the periphery edges, everything that I could see, I think I might have saw 2 viburnum kind of poking up in certain places, and you could tell because of the leaf and the opposite pattern of the leaves. If that changes, because what we would be doing was we would be starting from those edges and working our way in, and everything that was invasive would be cut and then removed so that we could kind of get a little further and a little further. If for some reason that drastically changed, that would be a conversation that we could have, but I do not anticipate it changing. It's very, very rare when we see an area such as this. I would say it's very rare that there is anything else up until the point where it really does change to a BVW. Often just because of the soil changes, then we will see a different plant community, which is why they're delineated that way. So my guess is that there is really hardly anything else in there, and I would say solidly it's 80% invasive, probably more. Now that we're getting a little bit more towards the end of the season, I could try to get in there, but I'd probably have to cut a path through it.
So the reason I'm asking about this, there are trees in there as well. Is it the plan to retain the existing trees and any native vegetation so that the removal of the invasive vegetation would be done carefully so it's not going to be, mechanized clearing?
Yep,
So-
absolutely.
Okay, so I know you can do that, but it seems to me this area is roughly 7,300 square feet. So that's a little less than a quarter acre. And what you're proposing is to install 25 trees and more than 100 shrubs in an area that's dense. So it makes me think that the only way to get all of those plants in there is to take pretty much everything out. And even then, in an area that's only, 70 by 100-ish, 100 plus shrubs and 25 trees feels like a lot of, I feel strange saying this because we're usually complaining that it's not densely planted enough. But I'm concerned.
Janet, are you telling me to remove shrubs
I'm
from my
concerned
plan?
that this is going to be overly jammed with plants that will be unable to thrive because there's too many in there and the existing natives will be threatened. So I'm just looking for the right balance in this. I think the area is right. It's bordering the BVW and the stream. That's the perfect area for mitigation. No question with that. I just don't want to see something that's driven by the math of our regulations doom something that could be really good.
Janet, you are speaking in common sense, can you go talk to some other commissions? That'd be amazing. So I do really, honestly, I do believe that it is 80 to 90% invasive in there. I don't think that we will find many natives, and the natives that we find, I think will be, we'll call it less than robust. However, I'm happy to take another look at the plan just to make sure that the sizes that we've drawn for the mitigation plants are more mature sizes. And the other thing that we can do, like I said, I have to go back and make sure that I know exactly what's in that circle for you anyway. I can cut into that area a little bit and see if I can get, 10, 20 feet further to therefore see in a little bit further just to double check that. The other thing that we can do is it would be, I guess you'd have to be okay with this on a certificate of compliance, but if we are demarcating the edge of the mitigation area with the split rail fence, if we did find that there was, maybe a big swath of bayberry somewhere in there or something, and then we basically use those shrubs and we could plant them, further out into more the meadow areas. We could do that, but they wouldn't be quote unquote within your mitigation area. So that would be something that we would need to work with you on for compliance, just to make sure that that was a clear expectation. So I can kind of approach it a couple of different ways. You'll notice though that we did leave the areas under where we are putting in the tree groves. We did leave those areas free of shrub underplantings, at least in the immediate vicinity of where we're putting those trees in. So I'll take as much of a detailed look at it as you want me to look.
Okay, I totally appreciate that. And maybe saving some of the other trees on the site will help this exercise so that we don't have to try to put quite so many in. But just getting a realistic sense of what's going to do well there and thrive there in this area is what I was looking for. Okay.
Sure. Yeah, I think our plant list is pretty solid. Like I said, Dylan and I will have to go back and just double check some things in that circle to make sure anyway. So we'll bring a hand pruners and a loppers with and see if we can find the path of least resistance and get in there a little further. But I suspect that I will report the same thing back to you in 2 weeks, at least in terms of the invasive versus native. But I'll check.
Okay, thank you very much. That's it for me.
Yep.
Elise?
I think we need a lighting plan.
Yes.
We talked about that in our meeting yesterday, so if someone could put one of those together and add it to the package, that would be terrific.
Anything else?
That's it.
I just wanted to add that I went back into that area that Jana was talking about after the last meeting because I was curious, and there's not much in there that's salvageable as far as indigenous plants. There's a few things that are up higher than the invasives, so they have like a little canopy, but everything under them, obviously they didn't get sun, so it's dead. So, yeah, I would say it's a good, like you said, 80% anyway. That's it, thanks.
All right. So now that I let everybody else go, and they've brought up most of my concerns. One of the things, whatever we're putting, say, between the meadow and the mitigation, please note on the plan that what it is, because like right now, the plan has the little, the site plan and everything have the little dashed line along the driveway, but nowhere did it say that was the split rail fence. I made an assumption, but it would be good to have that on the plan. What else? As Elise said, we need the lighting plan. We also need a formal variance request, as you know, a letter.
So,
It's in
yeah,
our
it's
regs.
just, yeah, so it's just a letter saying we're asking for a
A
variance.
variance, yes.
Two
And
sentences,
now we go to my favorite subject, the pool and patio. And I know you cut it back. I'm not sure what the size of the dimensions of the pool was before you cut it back, because on the previous plan, it didn't have a size to it. But we have a lot of patio, and we have a nice sized pool. If we cut some of the patio going sort of toward where I've asked if you can remove some of the retaining wall, I think we could save some more trees. And if you
Karen?
move the patio and pool back even a little further, I think you could probably save at least tree number 3.
You have to, can I
Go
speak?
ahead.
We're at 10 feet on one side and 12 feet on, it's not much of a patio. It's this, we dropped that pool down to 16 feet wide. It's not a very wide pool. You know, before on that pool, if you measured that out, that was 20 feet wide. So we've tried to reduce, but the patio, and we're taking away anything, we've got trees, we're trying to save trees everywhere.
Right.
There's no place to be.
No,
You gotta be
I'm
outside.
asking
So
if
if we've reduced the size of that pool as
You
much
have.
as we think to make it workable, and we need to be able to have a chair out there so you can walk around the chair.
Right,
So it's kind of
okay.
tough with that. We tried to
just-
get it as small as we could.
Okay, and it's an auto cover, so you don't need a fence.
Nope, no fence.
You know, I do appreciate that you cut it back. I just
Yeah.
was kind of going for the pie in the sky, so to speak. You know, have to try.
Right,
Let me put
right,
it that way.
Right.
What else did I have that hasn't been covered? Previously, it had been noted in front of the house, you were going to have irrigation. Is that correct?
Yeah, well, we're gonna do above-ground irrigation to keep everything alive. So-
Right,
So we have to
temporary.
do that, temporary above-ground irrigation for the 3 years. We would put a trickle system in, just for the plantings on the front yard, to keep the plants in the front alive if we can. You know, I'm thinking, basically, we're not gonna put anything in your river area, we're just gonna put it in within the river area and the 100-foot on the back side, which is basically the very front of that house will have a trickle system. Then we're gonna use the Black Beauty, which is pretty drought hardy. So
Right.
that's our thoughts there. So it's not, we're gonna have above ground in the beginning, that'll eventually get removed. And, but in the very front, we'll just do some trickle system for shrubs.
Okay, I just
But, no,
wanted to make sure that that was correct.
yeah.
I don't think I have anything else. Go ahead, Janet.
It reminded me of something that I had written down and then forgotten about. Is there a landscape plan going to
Yeah.
be
Yep, you have
prepared?
that.
That was part of the package.
Do we have that?
The Acer?
Yep.
Isn't that the landscape, Acer's the landscape plan? Here,
Okay, so that was submitted for the last hearing, that has not changed, correct?
No, it
Here.
has changed.
We changed it with the
All right,
wall
okay, oh,
Yeah.
all right, thank you, now I have
and
it here.
removing the retaining walls and putting the fence in and.
Oh, this was the other one that was labeled that way, that's why I didn't see it, okay. Okay, got it,
And
thank
it
you.
does have that's where the label for the split rail along the fence, driveway shows up, as it is on
Okay.
that plan.
Okay.
Anybody have anything else?
Yeah, I just
Go ahead,
want to,
Eric.
I just want to add, personally, from being in the landscape business for a long time, too long, you know, I can understand where you have to have, you know, immediately around the foundation, small little area, lawn area, you know, to have some type of irrigation, rather than dragging hoses around the house. I can see that. Thanks.
I got a quick question, Karen.
Go ahead.
Jen, when we talk about the split rail fence again, I hate to keep going back to the fence, but just a single rail fence would be sufficient?
I mean, a single rail fence is a good indicator. You know, 2 rails is more visible. I guess it depends on how assertive you want to be with that line. The meadow being in front of it, I mean, clearly meadows are easier to mow, but at the same time, there's steel edging, you know, separating lawn areas from meadow areas.
I'm just thinking that the two rail might be more of an obstruction or a wall, so you won't be able to see the mitigation, flowering, the plants flowering and so forth.
So,
Yeah,
I'd like
if
to-
it's a single rail, you might run into it if you're walking through there and trip. But that's more of a discussion, I think, for you and Tim. To me, it doesn't make any difference. We'll put a fence in whatever manner you and Tim see fit.
Bob, we did that single rail fence over there at Capri when we did it. I thought that looked nice. It definitely determines it.
Yeah.
And as you say, if we're gonna put in, some of the, the milkweed in there that's flowering, so people, we'd like to see it if possible.
Yeah,
And that'll keep it,
I think a single rail would be
Right.
better, nicer looking, and,
yeah, and it's not, it's, up a foot, 16, 18 inches or so, but
right,
that's what we did at Capri, and I thought it delineated it and seemed to work, and it'll keep people out of there.
right. Thank you.
And to Janet's point, there are quite a few large shrubs that will be going on along the edge of that mitigation area as well. So once they have a chance to grow into themselves a bit, they should be
Sufficient.
fairly,
Yeah.
they should be a fairly solid edge,
Yeah,
so to
thank you.
speak.
I think,
Okay, but can I just ask you one more question, Bob? On this fencing that we're gonna do, we have that fence that's running up and around the driveway. You were talking about you wanted it somewhere else? Jen, do you know where he was talking about putting that as well?
just along the mitigation line.
Okay,
Between the
And-
meadow and mitigation.
okay.
Yeah, so you got the
I know where he's talking
Yeah.
about,
Yeah.
Tim. I can mark it on a plan for you, that's not a problem.
Another one
I know
in
what he's
there.
talking about.
Thank you.
Do you want to pull the one away from the driveway for the meadow, or you want that one there as well?
No, it's not necessary to have anything there.
Okay, so put it back where the meadow and the mitigation meet.
Exactly.
Okay,
Thank you.
okay. All right, thank you for the clarification.
Quick question. I know this is a quality of life thing for me. I'm just curious if I've missed it. Is there a rinse station on this plan? Total quality of life, but I'm just curious if you're thinking about putting one of those,
Yes,
since we don't call them outdoor showers anymore.
right, we'd like to put it over there, but out of the jurisdiction of we're gonna
Okay.
put it back by the garage door.
All right,
Where
thanks
the
very much.
mechanical systems are.
I was wondering if that was the spot. Okay,
Right,
great,
yeah.
thank you.
Since
Can
it's
we-
not in your
Anybody?
jurisdiction, we can call it a shower now.
Yeah, it's outside our jurisdiction. Go for it. Anybody else? All right, so you have a few things to work on.
Yep.
The circle needs more detail. Maybe you're adding some milkweed. You said something about putting a second
I need to
work
come back in
limit.
2 weeks. so this is-
Looking at saving the trees, we need a lighting plan.
Oh, you can have that.
Moving the fencing,
The areas of temporary irrigation versus the areas that they want
yeah.
permanent immediately around the house.
I think where there
I'd
will
like to
be
try to come
permanent
next week if
irrigation
possible.
should be noted.
Does that work for you?
I don't think they
Lighting
would.
plan?
Need it like today.
Oh, yeah,
They'd like to see it a week before.
okay.
You also
We'll go 2
mentioned the
weeks.
variance request letter.
Yep,
Yep.
I hadn't gotten, they were still talking, so I thought I wasn't gonna. Go ahead, so,
Obviously, next week is kind
too
of tight.
soon?
So the next meeting after that's the 23rd, I believe.
It is, yes, the 23rd.
So
Okay,
we can certainly be ready for that one. Is there any chance that you could take a crack at an order of conditions at the same time, in that same time period?
I think that's
Just
gonna be
asking.
tough.
Okay.
There's a lot of changes, we don't even have a lighting plan yet. I mean, we can start it, but I won't say that it would be ready for,
A vote, yeah.
A vote.
I didn't,
but if we start it, potentially, if we're ready, it would be the next meeting, which is the following week, so,
okay,
or
so,
well, no, it wouldn't be the following week, because the 30th we're off, because we
Oh,
have an
it's the
extra
5th.
Wednesday, so it would be 2 weeks later.
so it'll be,
We're into December.
November, first meeting in November.
November
to-
6th.
For them to vote on the order of conditions.
Okay. And What's the, after that, how long is the order of conditions? Another 3 weeks after that, or?
No, they get them
No,
up
you
pretty quick.
can ask to have it available quickly.
Okay.
We've had
All right.
Crystal rush them.
We gotta do what we gotta do.
Yeah, so the way they do it now is they draft it, and it's
Yeah.
pretty much done, and they vote on
Yeah,
it, so it's
okay.
not.
Yep, great.
And one last thing, don't forget on your plan, the areas that are temporary and the areas that you wish to have permanent irrigation.
Okay, we can do that.
Yep.
And as I say, it's just gonna be pretty much that
Drip line.
foundation drip stuff right around the foundation and that, and not near, not in the river or the hundreds, so. we'll
Yeah,
make that
can't
work.
be in our area,
No,
so that takes care of most of your spot. Catherine has her hand up, so go ahead, Catherine.
Yes, just a matter of that variance request letter. So it's not just a letter with a couple sentences,
Oh.
and Crystal and I are working on a sample, and we'll send one out once we have it ready. But there is more to just, to the variance request letter than just a couple sentences. But we'll get a sample out.
Okay, I mean, everything's in the narrative, so I can just cut and paste it out of there. You've already been presented with the information, so.
All right, then I believe we're ready for a motion.
I move that we continue parcel H13 Captain Knowles Way to October 23rd, 2024.
Second?
Cheryl?
Aye.
Paul?
aye.
Janet?
Aye.
Elise?
Aye.
Eric?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
And I say aye. Okay, we'll see you the 23rd.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Catherine, next thing.
Okay, notice of intent at 500
No,
Shore
that
Road,
one's,
map.
actually, that got taken off the agenda.
Oh, you're right, I apologize.
That's
That is
okay.
not on this one. Okay, I didn't have the update.
That's okay.
Request for certificate of compliance at 86 Harborview Road, map 8A, parcel H3 for Ann Jenis, DEP SE number 10-3423, raise and replace an existing single-family dwelling.
Okay. I think, Jen? Are you there? Yep, Jen's there. All right. Stephanie, go ahead. Stephanie, you had your hand raised.
Hi, good afternoon.
Hi.
Stephanie Sequel with Ryder and Wilcox. And just one thing that I wanted to point out, I think we're all set with the complying with all the conditions. And I did include the list of ongoing conditions that were in the original order. I just wanted to make sure that you saw on condition number 10 regarding the creation of the mitigation area. The applicant wanted to include notation, and I've got it written in there, that plants in the vegetated buffer strip and on the coastal bank that are within the designated view corridor may be pruned to 3 to 4 feet in height in order to maintain a view of the water. It just wasn't clear in the order that, there is the approval of this view corridor.
Okay. Right now, I'm trying to find, don't even see where there were ongoing requests, but maybe I just didn't print everything. So I'm just trying to find it. And
So in the,
we did not, I'm not seeing that we originally approved a view corridor. So that's where I'm struggling right now and trying to find something that says we did. Oh, yes, I do see special conditions.
so on the first special condition 3, which is listed in as the first one on the ongoing, it talks about establishing the legs of the view corridor and setting permanent markers, which we've done.
Okay.
But it doesn't say anything about, what they're allowed to do in the view corridor. And maybe this would be the more appropriate place to insert that language.
Yeah, do you have a picture of the view corridor marked?
No.
I did include a photo of we set iron pipe with yellow caps, and then the Genesis set stone right next to the pipe to make it a little more visible.
Right.
Maybe I can help. I'm Mark Janess, Mark and Ann Janess, the owners, and I'm happy to answer any questions to help out.
Okay.
The order of conditions provided for vista pruning from the east end, which would be the boundary marker, to a pine tree, which is on the western marker. And so there are now metal pipes that go, permanent markers, along with stone markers so they're visible. You can see where they are. I mean, you can see because the tree is, the pine tree is like 20 feet tall as it is. It's not going to go anywhere. And so the purpose, the original order of conditions did allow us to prune, but we just wanted to make sure that it was beyond the mitigation zone, because it doesn't do any good to just prune within the mitigation zone if the trees behind it block the view. And, obviously this is a house that overlooks Nantucket Sound, and the view is everything. So we're just trying to keep the intent, which was to be able to prune.
So what you're asking is to be able to prune behind the mitigation, not the mitigation. So was this, I'm struggling because I don't know that this was a part of the original order asking to be able to prune that area.
I think it was kind of ambiguous, to be honest. I think it should have been a little clearer when it was written.
Yeah, I'm just concerned about giving you carte blanche to do it when that actually wasn't part of what we originally approved.
Again, it wouldn't make any sense to prune within the mitigation zone.
I get it.
If you can't see the view.
But-
That doesn't make any, so that's why we thought we were just doing this consistent with what the intent was.
Right, but when it's not part of the original order, what we're voting on is giving you a certificate of compliance for the order that was before us and the work that you did for that order. If that area wasn't a part of the original order, we're essentially skipping and allowing you to do something you never actually applied to be able to do.
Right. Again, I think it was, I think it could have been clearer when it was originally done. I wish we had focused on that at the time. We were focusing on a lot of things and getting the place built, 3 years ago. But, I mean, otherwise, again, how do we, it doesn't do any good. You understand what I'm saying?
I totally get it.
Can I-
I'm trying
go ahead.
to make sure we stay within the intent of the order. It
Can
is-
I read?
Yeah, I think
Okay.
I just found it too, Stephanie. I'm looking at a draft of the order that
11E,
project description
11E.
included prune plants in the vegetated buffer strip within a designated view corridor to 3 to 4 feet in height for a view of the water.
That's right,
That's
for review of
listed.
the water.
Yeah, I'm reading under the findings, number
Finding
6,
six.
the proposal includes a view corridor that protects
Yeah.
continuity of the vegetative buffer strip and preserves the view by maintaining the height of the vegetation in the vegetated buffer strip. The proposal uses an existing pine tree in the property line to demarcate the eastern and western edges of the view corridor. The commission
Yep.
would like a more permanent demarcation of the legs of the corridor.
Yep.
So that's where it was, I
Yep.
thought somewhere.
It's also
there it
it's
said
also a
that's
special
supposed to be
condition, so
4
this is the one that's really important, because it's actually the condition, and it's a continuing condition. The locations of the quote legs of the view corridor shall be discussed with the conservation agent at the pre-construction meeting. The engineer or land surveyor will also be present to verify the location of the view corridor in the field. Once verified in the field, concrete bounds or another type of permanent structure shall be placed on the ground to demarcate the eastern and western leg of the view corridor. This shall be an ongoing condition on the certificate of compliance.
Right.
So it
Right.
sounds like you did that.
So it
Yes.
sounds like you did do it, okay.
Yes.
I just, it sounded like you were asking for something that wasn't within our original intent.
It's
No.
years
And
ago.
I didn't have I don't have the order in front of me, so thank you, Janet.
Yeah, I find this pretty unusual for, so it's complete from east to west. Because, in history, it's to allow, certain windows, but leave a little something for the imagination. But this is a complete east to west view, which is, I think, I have nothing wrong with views, but this is very generous. And 3 to 4 feet is also very generous. Usually, you're trimming at a minimum of 4 feet, because usually you're sitting either on a patio or in your kitchen, you're up high, so, 4 feet is really, I always thought would be the minimum. Thanks. But,
Well, again, we're just trying to keep what was in the original order
Right,
of conditions.
yeah.
I,
for you.
it is there, but Stephanie, I'm looking at the as-built, and the view corridor is not denoted on the as-built. Is it denoted or listed on any plan of record?
It is on the mitigation plan.
Okay, no, that I don't have.
And I have it if you,
Oh, there, she's,
no, that was the deal. That
oh,
was the deal.
wow, okay. Wow,
Okay.
we did do that.
Oh, yeah, look at the big view. When did we do this?
Must have had your tea week that morning.
it was early COVID. I don't know.
It was
if that
early
had anything to do with it.
Oh, maybe I wasn't on the
Remember we-
commission then. I am getting off of this one. Maybe everybody had COVID when they did this one.
All right, it's on the plan, so.
Okay, so I guess we can go to a motion.
No, before
Oh,
that, I just
go
want to
ahead.
ask about, and this is, I think, for Jen, and I'm not sure if she's still online.
Was.
So, or maybe Stephanie, you can answer the first part. An extension request was, a year extension was requested 6 weeks ago,
Yes.
taking it to another, to
Yes.
20, so,
Why?
yeah, why,
Yes.
5 weeks later, are you here?
I'm happy to answer that
Okay.
because we were in the process of getting the final sign-offs from Crawford Land Management, also from Ryder and Wilcox, and it was simply a matter of the summer was very busy and we couldn't get them
Getting it
to get their paperwork done in
Before,
time.
before that
Yeah.
expired?
There
Okay.
was actually some confusion. You may remember, Commissioners, that I think our time period may have run into November, but there was some timing with respect to COVID, and what we were told at the time was, out of abundance of caution, let's go ahead and just get the full extension. And I said at the time, we won't need a full year, we just need a couple months to wrap this up.
Okay, now that you're saying that, I remember. The other question I had was, this is for a full certificate or a partial?
This is full, we're done, we've been done for.
Well, the mitigation plants were put in July of 2022, and then replanted, new mitigation plants were put in October 2023. So they still are subject to the 3-year survival requirement, so I don't think we could sign off on the mitigation yet.
We talked about this yesterday.
Oh, okay.
Paul, Catherine, and Crystal felt we could, since an ongoing condition is that they maintain the mitigation in perpetuity, so
Okay.
they've been put in, and then we had the discussion of what are 3 seasons.
Oh, God.
And
But perpetuity is easy. That's
yes, that's why
forever.
we thought, because if you said 3 years, it's difficult because somebody, when they get an order, would have to immediately plant the mitigation to meet 3 years without asking for an extension. And so we felt that maybe saying, because it's an ongoing condition and they've been planted and we're now a year into it, which some feel is three
Yeah.
seasons.
Okay, I'm good with a complete certificate as long as the mitigation maintenance is an ongoing condition.
Yes.
That works.
That's what we had said, was
Okay.
that the maintenance of the mitigation would have to be continued in perpetuity.
Okay.
All right, anybody else? Because we did discuss this a bit yesterday. Okay, we're ready for a motion.
Okey doke. I move that we approve a full certificate of compliance for 86 Harbor View, excuse me, Harbor View Road.
Second.
Cheryl?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
Janet?
Aye.
Elise?
Aye.
Eric?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
And I say aye. You're all set.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank you for
much.
coming.
Thank you. Thanks, Stephanie.
It helped having you here, so thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, Catherine, next one.
Okay, would you like me to open the following two, which are,
I think we can. I mean,
Okay.
they were pretty much done together, so.
yeah. Okay, it's request for certificate of compliance at 85 Capri Lane, map 13C, parcel 29-C12 for Jane Lenahan, DEP, SE number 10-3558. Replace existing bulkhead, replace existing in-ground steps and existing elevated stairs over the bulkhead. Request for a certificate of compliance at 86 Capri Lane, map 13C, parcel C13 for Tama and John Andres, DEP, SE number 10-3557, replacement and extension of existing marine bulkhead.
Thank you. Hi, Bob.
Hello. Hi,
Oh.
good afternoon. Bob Perry, Cape Cod Engineering for the applicants, and thanks for putting these together. They belong together and the issues are similar. We're here for a certificate of compliance primarily at this point in time because one of the applicants has some life-changing circumstances that will be bringing them before you for an order of conditions. And it's been our understanding that order of conditions would have to be cleared before another order would be issued. That's one factor. The other one is that the project is very well along. We understand that there's a couple of years of monitoring left for the vegetative restoration and mitigation. And if you go there and if you see the site, it's extraordinarily well developed. I think the soil quality was great here. We did have a couple of seasons of pretty good moisture. And I think the last discussion you just had relates closely to this, where if a full certification can be provided at this point in time, then additional monitoring of those plants and the overall condition of both sites can be provided in monitoring reports for another year or two, should you wish. So that's where we are. The as-built is submitted, the site photography with our report, which tries to make clear what the conditions are today. I thought the project went off very well, and it's in great shape today. So that's
Right.
where I'm at.
Thank you. And I think what we would do is, again, have a ongoing condition that that the mitigation needs to be monitored and taken care of in perpetuity. So, does anybody else have any questions? Bob?
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to ask, what does that mean, ongoing who monitors? Oh, yeah, but right now the plants, I mean, the project is beautiful, the banking is well established. I have one quick question, that the return on the far west looks newer than the rest of the wall.
That's a good observation. There was, we called the contractor back at that location because this relates to the way I like to see these jobs done. There had been a little bit of overwash there, and it had scoured out. And he reworked the return at that location so that it was more stable.
Yeah.
The cap boards could have been reused, but they put new ones on.
Yeah, looks great.
And that would be the opposite end from the one you're showing. That the one on the east was extraordinarily well done. And that one there is where I'm told that there's some animal traffic around that area. And so there was a bit of erosion, and It was about a couple months ago. We sent the contractor back over there just to take a look at what they had done with the sheeting.
Yeah, thank you, it looks beautiful.
Bob?
Bob, there was some bittersweet on the bank, I think along 85, I believe, we were concerned about. Is that still there? Is it getting involved with any of the plantings?
Very little. I know one of the points at the time we proposed the project was that the work effort provided an opportunity to pull a lot of that out. I would be wrong to tell you there isn't any left, but it's the applicant's, I think, ongoing obligation to make efforts to continue to pull that. If that's what the commission would like, I think it's worth them doing that. It's a harder prospect on the 86. I think 86 is a very well-vegetated coastal bank. It has already undergone a remedial invasives proposal and work effort prior to this job. And I don't know how practical it is that folks along these waterway banks are going to keep all the invasives at bay, but as long as they're aware of it,
Yeah.
and that they are given license to go in there and handwork to pull vines out, I think that's a very beneficial allowance.
Like the knotweed behind your house.
And then along 86, there were some cherries, cherry trees that were kind of falling down or something.
They are cleared out completely because they were laying down over the salt marsh. And if you've been over there, the improved light from the shading reduction, or the reduction in shade, is really having a great effect on the salt marsh. It's really coming in well.
Good. Yeah, I'd like to see them continue on that bittersweet removal, in 85 anyway, if they can. Thank you.
I think we could put that in as an ongoing condition as well, that they maintain the invasive management of the bittersweet and anything else they find. Other than that, anybody have any questions, comments? Okay, I think we can have a motion.
Okay. I move that we approve the certificates of compliance for 85 Capri Lane and 86 Capri Lane.
Second.
Okay, Cheryl?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
Janet?
Aye.
Elise?
Aye.
Eric?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
And I say aye. You're all set, Bob. Thank you very much.
And I say bye and thank you very much.
Okay.
See you soon. Bye now.
Yep. Catherine, any unforeseen items?
There are no unforeseen items at this time.
Does anybody else have anything they want to bring up?
I'll second that.
Okay, we need a motion.
I move we adjourn the meeting.
Second.
Cheryl?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
Janet?
Aye.
Eric?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
And I say aye. We're done. Thank you, everyone.